The line outside the theater curved like a restless snake, filled with hopeful faces, nervous laughter, and quiet desperation. Some clutched guitars, others hummed scales under their breath. Everyone there carried a dream that felt bigger than themselves. At the very end of the line stood a boy who didn't quite seem to belong. His clothes were clean but worn. Faded jeans, a shirt slightly too big for his thin frame, and shoes that had clearly seen better days. He held no instrument, no flashy props, nothing to catch attention. Just a folded piece of paper in his trembling hands. People glanced at him, then looked away just as quickly. Another one, someone whispered nearby. He won't last 5 seconds. The boy heard it. He heard everything. But he said nothing. His name was Matteo. And today, he had nothing left to lose. Inside, the auditorium buzzed with energy. Bright lights bathed the stage. The judges' panel gleamed with polished confidence, and at its center sat Simon Cowell, known for his sharp tongue and even sharper instincts. He leaned back in his chair, half interested, half bored. They had seen dozens of contestants already, some good, many forgettable, and a few painfully bad. The day was dragging. Next, a producer called. Matteo stepped onto the stage. The moment he appeared, something shifted, but not in his favor. A few people in the audience chuckled quietly. The judges exchanged quick glances. Simon raised an eyebrow. Matteo looked small under the lights. Too small, too uncertain. "Hello," one of the judges said, forcing a polite smile. "What's your name?" "Matteo, sir." "All right, Matteo," Simon said, his tone neutral but distant. "And where are you from?" "Just outside the city, a small village." Simon nodded, already jotting something down. "And what will you be doing for us today?" Matteo swallowed. "I'll be singing." A faint smirk appeared on one judge's face. Another leaned back, crossing their arms. No music, no introduction, no confidence, just a boy. Matteo walked to the center of the stage. His hands shook. His heart pounded so loudly he thought the microphone might pick it up. For a moment, he considered turning around, running back through the curtain and disappearing into the crowd again. But then he remembered. The nights without electricity. The hunger that gnawed at him until sleep finally took over. His mother's tired smile, telling him, "One day, your voice will change everything." He closed his eyes, and began. The first note was soft. So soft that a few people leaned forward, unsure if he had even started. But then, it grew. Not louder, but deeper. Richer. Like something awakening. The auditorium shifted. The murmurs faded. Matteo's voice carried a raw emotion that didn't belong to someone his age. It wasn't polished. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Pain threaded through every note. Hope followed close behind. Simon's pen stopped moving. He looked up. Matteo sang like he wasn't on a stage. Like he was back in that small village, under a sky full of stars, singing to a world that never listened. Except now, the world was listening. His voice cracked slightly on a high note, but instead of ruining the moment, it made it stronger. Honest. Human. One judge leaned forward, eyes widening. Another slowly uncrossed their arms. The smirks were gone. Simon's expression changed. At first, it was subtle. A slight narrowing of the eyes. A tilt of the head. Then came the stillness. He wasn't just hearing the boy anymore. He was feeling him. And that was rare. Matteo moved into the chorus. This time, his voice soared. Not with arrogance, but with something far more powerful. Belief. It filled the room, bouncing off the walls, sinking into every seat, every heart. A woman in the audience covered her mouth. Someone else whispered, "Oh my God." The judges sat frozen. The boy they had nearly dismissed seconds ago was now commanding the entire stage. No lights could compete with him. No production tricks were needed. It was just him. And somehow, that was enough. Simon leaned forward now, his eyes locked onto Matteo. There was no smirk anymore. No boredom. Just disbelief. How is this happening? He muttered under his breath. Matteo reached the bridge of the song. His voice dropped. Soft again, fragile, like a confession. And in that moment, the entire room held its breath. You could hear nothing. Not a cough. Not a whisper. Just him. Then came the final note. It built slowly, rising like a wave gathering strength. Matteo's chest lifted. His voice climbed. Higher. stronger, until it broke free into a note so pure, so powerful, it seemed to stop time itself. Silence. Complete silence. For one long, unforgettable second. Then, the room exploded. Applause thundered from every direction. People jumped to their feet. Some cheered. Others wiped tears from their eyes. Matteo stood frozen, overwhelmed, unsure if this was real. The judges didn't speak immediately. They just looked at him, processing, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Finally, Simon leaned into his microphone. For once, he didn't rush. He didn't smirk. He didn't criticize. He just stared at the boy. "Matteo," he said slowly, "when you walked onto this stage, I'll be honest, I didn't expect much." A nervous laugh rippled through the audience. Matteo looked down. "But," Simon continued, his voice softening, "that was incredible." The crowd cheered again. Simon shook his head slightly, almost smiling. "I mean, truly incredible. You have something very rare." Another judge spoke up. "Your voice, it's not just about hitting notes. It's about feeling. And you made all of us feel something today." A third judge added, "I actually got chills. Real chills. That doesn't happen often." Matteo blinked rapidly, trying to hold back tears. "Thank you," he whispered. Simon leaned back, still watching him. "Tell me something," he said. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" Matteo hesitated. "I didn't, sir, I just sang." That answer hit harder than any note. Simon exhaled slowly. "Of course you did." The audience laughed softly, but there was respect in it now. Deep respect. "All right," Simon said, straightening up. "Let's take a vote." The tension returned, but this time, it felt different. Hopeful. First judge. "It's a yes from me." Second judge. "Absolutely yes." Third judge. 100% yes. All eyes turned to Simon. He paused deliberately, building the moment. Matteo's heart raced again. Simon leaned forward, a faint smile forming. "Matteo, it's not just a yes." The room leaned in. "It's the kind of yes that changes everything." The audience erupted again. Matteo covered his face, tears finally falling. As he walked off the stage, everything felt unreal. The laughter from earlier, gone. The doubt, gone. All that remained was the echo of his voice, and the belief that maybe, just maybe, his life had just changed forever. Backstage, people who had ignored him before now approached him. "Man, that was amazing. I can't believe that voice came from you. You're going to go far." Matteo smiled shyly, still trying to process it all. But deep inside, something had shifted. For the first time, he wasn't just hoping anymore. He was believing. Out in the auditorium, Simon sat quietly for a moment after the applause faded. One of the judges nudged him. "You didn't expect that, did you?" Simon shook his head. "No," he admitted, "but that's why we do this." He looked toward the stage again. "Because sometimes, the ones you least expect, are the ones you never forget." And somewhere beyond the lights, beyond the stage, beyond the noise, a boy from a small village had just proven that dreams don't need permission. They just need a voice. And the courage to use it.